Welcome to The Magic of a Coffee with Jordan and Alex. This episode, we talk about the Guardians of the Galaxy, how we feel about the film, the characters, and the future of the MCU. We got our genetically altered animal experiments. Let's get into it. What you doing?
How have you been?
Really good. I have some personal news. That's been really fun. I guess we have news, but we can just, we're an item now, I think.
Officially.
Safe to say now, yes. No, I had a bunch of just like climbing stuff that I did that some was like really bad but good. Well, like not good but not bad.
Mhm.
I'll explain in a moment. But other than that, I've been fine. So what I was gonna bring up is I went to Quartz Mountain, which, in case you don't know, it's a mountain in Oklahoma that's straight granite. Very fun. It's very hard climbing. And I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. I should have put notes on, but whatever. But it's like interesting traverse, undercling climbing with crack climbing, and that's the first pitch alone, and then the rest of it is like lie back climbing with chimney climbing, which I've never really done chimney climbing. And all of it's trad. And it was fine. All of it was fine. I'm really good at crack climbing. I'm pretty good at placing. Get to the first pitch, easy breezy. Get to the second pitch, start climbing, doing the lie back. I'm good at lie backs. And then I get in the chimney. I don't know how to climb into a chimney. Are you familiar with what a chimney is?
No.
Okay, so chimney is, you're familiar with crack climbing.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine instead of a crack, it's like huge, and you're having to use certain techniques to get up it. It's like you're going up a chimney.
Oh, okay.
That's chimney climbing. And there are like various different places you can put gear and stuff like that. We didn't have one of the big cams, so we couldn't just like put it in the thing. But so we go in there, and then I'm like burning a lot of energy and a lot of my muscles. Like we got done that day, and I got to the car, and my back was just shot. It was like, dude, you kept that engaged for like 15 minutes straight. I was like, I look good though. And so I start figuring it out. I've climbed enough that I'm like, okay, I kind of understand how this works. So I started doing it, placing gear, but I didn't want to like place this gear in super complicating spots and like over cam it and things like that. So I was just like camming very lightly. Mm-hmm. But what started happening is I would place the gear into a crack. I would continue climbing, and then I heard this like clanking underneath me. I was like, what the fuck is that? I thought like maybe my gear got snagged on my harness or whatever. I looked down, and some of my protection, some of my cams fell out and fell to the previous cam under me, which in turn leaves like, that means I have no protection for several feet. Mm. And so I was like, well, I can't like place any gear where I'm at right now. And so I was like, I just got to keep going. Like, as long as I don't fall, it won't be it won't be bad. But the issue that we're getting at is the higher you climb, when your gear's here, the higher you climb, the more hazardous it gets, because you're just essentially like not doubling the amount of distance you're going to fall, but kind of. It depending on like where you're falling and your belay and stuff like that. So I get out of the chimney, which I'm like close to the end of the second pitch. And I on-sighted this. If you don't know what on-sighting is, I didn't look up I didn't know how to climb it. I didn't know where it went. I just went up, and like I knew where the pitch ended. Mm-hmm. So there was two ways I could go. Either I could climb around the chimney. So I got out of the chimney, and I could climb around on top of the chimney and climb that. Or there was some face climbing to the right of me. Face climbing is literally like, do you remember when we went climbing and I was talking about slab climbing? It's just straight vertical. Mm. Imagine that with like credit card size holds. Mm. I'm really good at that. But I was also 200 feet in the air. And so I was like, well, I'm good at face climbing. And I couldn't see how the top of the chimney was. So I was like, whatever, I'll just do that. And so I started, but I started realizing that I can't place gear anywhere because it's just flat granite, and all the gear is too far away, or all the cracks are too far away for me to put gear in.
Mhm.
So at this point in time, I'm losing my mind, and I'm like being very motivational, but I'm out loud screaming to just, you got to keep going. You have to keep going. And then I get to this spot, and then my foot slips a little bit. I remember my foot slipping just a hair, and then I just locked super hard. I globbed because then I understood where the last piece of gear was. And I was like, if you fall, it's 20 feet from you to that gear, which in turn you're probably going to drop 30 feet. And that's either a ledge that where Rico, my belayer, was, or I'm just going to smash into the chimney. And I was like, you cannot fall right now. And I was just yelling at myself. And so like there was one, I got another move, and then I saw this weird like divot to my right, and I was like, I can't reach that, but I think if I do one more adjustment, because slab climbing is just like minor adjustments, right? If I can do one more adjustment, I can heel hook on top of that and just have enough leverage to lean left, and then there's a crack. And so I did it, and it was like super sketchy, and like it's just like a throw move. Usually I'm pretty static and controlled, but I was like, I can't. I'm literally about to fall, and I don't know what's gonna happen. I wasn't wearing a helmet. It was me and the world, and and so I did the heel hook. It was solid. I was like sick, and then immediately I found this crack. This crack was like I could barely fit my fingers in, which is good because I jammed it as hard as I could, and I slammed it down. It locked all of my like the skin, the knuckles. I felt these little grooves, and it just locked it. And I finally was like be able to rest. And I was like, "Fuck!" And then I let go of the heel hook, and then I turned to the crack, put my other hand in, and then started doing a lie back and just continuing to yell at myself, like, you have to keep going. You got this. I got to the top, finally hit the ledge. My torso got on the ledge, and I was breathing really hard. I was like, oh my God. Oh God. And then for a split second, I started dreaming. And I came to real quick, and I was like, what the fuck? Because my heart was racing. My mind was like, what did you just do? I get on the ledge. I did not put protection in. With like certain trad climbing, you have to take cams and make anchors for safety.
Mhm.
Well, I didn't. I just fell asleep apparently. Well, I put one in, threw my my personal anchor system in there, and then I was like trying to calm down. I was telling Rico I just had to calm down, and I looked down, and I couldn't see my last cam. That's how far away I was from it while climbing. And so I made an anchor system, and then I got everything prepared. I got up, I belayed Rico, and Rico like got outside of the chimney, and he looked where I was climbing, and he was like, "Oh, dude, you have to go left to the on top of the chimney because it's literally like an easy ass route to take if you do that." And I was like, "Okay." And he was like, "Which way did you go?" And I told him, and he was like, "I wouldn't have done that." I was like, and then he got up there, and we set up the rappel, and then I was like, "Cool. Shall we do another?" Because at that point I calmed down. You know, it's something that, but it also made me realize, like, okay, I need to evaluate that level of like, oh fuck, because I solo a lot,
Mhm.
and I'm like, if I do that, like, I just got to be a lot more dialed in. I have to work on the mental because yeah, that was an insane. That was probably the scaredest I've ever been rock climbing. Where I was like, dude, if I fall, like, there might be some phone calls,
Yeah.
and it's not gonna be by me. And I was like, okay, I need to fucking evaluate a lot. But after that, like, that's the fun thing about like rock climbing to that degree. It's like it was terrifying, but like once I got done and I calmed down, I was like, that was so fulfilling. Anyways, how are you?
Good. Busy working. Summer season. So, all these big movies are coming out, and I don't.
Like what?
Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh my God.
I haven't seen that yet.
Why are we recording this podcast episode?
I don't know. You wanted to. No, I am so excited about this episode.
Yeah.
If I wasn't so tired yesterday, I probably would have saw it again.
Yeah. I plan on seeing it again too here soon. If you have the time, it's more of a I'm there for 50 hours a week, and if I don't have to be in that building, I don't want to be. So
Let's just go to Cinemark.
Sure. Movie Tavern.
No, I don't really like Movie Tavern, and I really don't like Cinemark unless Cinemark sponsors us.
Hey, we're a movie podcast. You want a sponsorship deal? We'll go see movies.
Yeah, way to sell them, bro. But it was a super good film. One thing that I loved about this, not most of all, but one thing that I loved is when Jordan saw it, he saw it before me, and he was like, "It's pretty good." And I was like, "Okay." And then I met up with him at the theater, and he was like, "Yeah, it's pretty all right. It's pretty good." And then I go in there, and then what I wanted to say after the movie ended was, "Jordan, go fuck yourself." But instead, I was like, "This was a fucking incredible movie." Like, I was crying, you know, I was pissed at one point. I was like hyped. Oh, it was so good. I remember being like, I'm just gonna eat popcorn, like have a Diet Coke, like chill. But at some points in time, the movie got me so stressed that I was just like, I gotta get loaded fries. I'm eating my feelings right now. It was an incredible film.
Yeah.
Well, let's start with like what happened.
Yeah. So going forward, spoilers. Moff Gideon. Spoilers.
We don't have to say spoilers anymore. I think people know now.
I've seen too many spoiler videos of people being upset because they were like, they didn't say spoilers enough. I didn't know. Okay, whatever. That's not gonna be us. I'm gonna shove spoilers up their ass. The word, not actual spoiler. So yeah, so the premise of the movie, for the most part, is the High Evolutionary wants Rocket Raccoon. That is the duet.
No, continue. Sorry.
There's just that's the 2-sentence summary. But there's a lot more involved. Honestly,
Yeah, the fact that Rocket's a genius.
Yeah, that it's funny because it's interesting. Well, I'll start off with this: is Rocket Raccoon is the protagonist in this trilogy? Is it because I've went back and rewatched the other two films? Is that he is more or less he has the most character growth. He's this kind of like silent main protagonist, like Peter Quill. Sure, but it's like in the first movie, there's a lot of emphasis on Rocket in particular, but it's the second movie where it's like when he's with Yondu and he's like, you push everybody away because, you don't want to get hurt again, essentially. And then Thor in Infinity War thinks Rocket is the captain of the ship, which is the little nod to Rocket being the actual main protagonist. And Rocket is like the protagonist in this movie, even though he's
granted he's not in it. He's not in it for the majority.
Yeah.
Right, because I could agree with the protagonist thing. To be honest, he is far when you look at the two main characters, right? Mm-hmm. Quill and Rocket. Mm-hmm. This movie, it's like, he has to be the protagonist and he also has to be the captain.
Yeah.
Like as essentially like a preteen, maybe teen, he just flew a ship out of a station. He's like, "No, I got it." Yeah. He had to get on the steering wheel and press a button because of how small he was, and he still just fucking no.
No, I love that. But yeah, so it opens up with the Guardians on Nowhere. They've made it their headquarters. Peter Quill is sad about Gamora, and it seems like for the most part, most people don't know that the Gamora that we have in the MCU timeline is the Gamora from the split timeline in Endgame.
Yeah, if people don't know that,
well, but
keep listening, I guess. But you should probably go and watch every Marvel movie.
Yeah, it's and like even in people in the movie aren't super like they're not making it super well known. It's more of like Gamora's back type thing, and she doesn't remember anything from the past 10 years.
Well, she can't remember anything because it's the wrong Gamora.
Yes, I know, but that's how they're selling it because that's what Nebula says to somebody is that she just doesn't remember anything.
Yeah.
And then Adam Warlock shows up.
Let's
let's talk about that. I kind of
So
told you about it before going in there to set some expectations.
I'm
But
glad that you did because I would have gotten a lot more pissed off. I'm a Warlock fan.
yeah,
I have expected Warlock when Guardians 2 came out
mm,
and the post credit scene and she was like, I will name him Adam. I got chills. I was like, oh my boy? Because he's like one of the guys that can like efficiently like use the gauntlet, right? In the comics.
yeah. So in the
Using
comics, he does have the Mind Stone originally, and then
Yeah.
or the Soul Stone, sorry, originally, and then he does give it away, and then his character is kind of weird because I believe I'm not super versed, but I believe he is a Jim Starlin creation specifically for all the Infinity comics and the wacky stuff that gets involved there. Because Infinity War is I don't know if it's considered canon anymore. It's weird where that sits. But yeah, is one of the most powerful beings in the Marvel universe. Literally hangs out with, gods. The beings that keep this universe intact. So to have him be kind of a child,
But in this movie,
in the movie, like I get where they were going. This is the beginning of a long-term thing for him, but it is kind of annoying.
is his contract public? Do you know?
I don't think it is public, but I'm assuming there was a multi-year, multi-movie deal. And it is weird for him showing up here because, again, he is mostly involved in the Infinity War and Infinity Gauntlet comics, and then in Annihilation, but they didn't do Annihilation. I'm pretty sure we're not doing Annihilation. But
I mean, it just they have so many avenues they could take, but we'll see. Um, yeah, like I like the idea that they're bringing Warlock, but like the first scene of him, I was like, okay, all right, what's good. Um, but then every other scene, I was like, okay, great. Like there was some comedic relief with him, which was like fine, but I don't know. I just didn't like it. But I do agree that like they're setting something up for him to play a bigger role,
Yeah.
which I'm very excited about. If this would have been a one-off movie for him, I would have been like, why even bring him? Just forget about him.
for sure. So I do like the movie a lot. I said it's. I'll say it's probably the best MCU film post Endgame, and maybe the best Guardians film. To be
It is.
honest, and
The
then,
second one was ass.
yeah, the second one's not great, and then the first one's good, but a lot of it's set up. So being able to have these characters being fully fleshed out.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the best Guardians movie will have to be the Christmas special.
No. Why would you say that?
I'm just kidding. I watched it and I was like, this is ass.
Yeah.
But it's a Marvel film, so I got to watch it.
I think the idea with the Christmas special was to be like kind of like the Star Wars special from back in the 80s, and that's terrible, and people like to forget it exists. And
Grandpa Wookie watching porn.
so, yeah, so I think it's supposed to be kind of in the vein of that, but yeah, it's weird. Where are we at? Nowhere, and then they go.
Yeah.
Rocket gets beat up. Oh, we can't help him with the med pack, which they've never seen before and is all over this movie. We can't use the med pack on him because he has some bomb attached to his heart.
Dude, it's the consistency of that is like, get a med pack. Well, I just have sensu beans. They're good enough.
Yeah, it's so weird. And then, so that's kind of the first act is the setup. You see Rocket's backstory right at the beginning. I do really like the opening and Rocket walking around with Creep playing. I thought that was a nice little touch. James Gunn is always big with music in his movies, and I think this is probably the best one.
I enjoyed it. It was fine. I mean, it wasn't like, oh, that was incredible, but it was cool. I do. I thought it was like kind of random that well, I guess it's not that random, but like the whole Peter Quill like being just drunk out of his mind, and like everyone's like he's doing that constantly now. It's like I get they're trying to set something up, but you could just like make him depressed.
Yeah.
But also, I guess it wouldn't like give a good like energy to the movie. So it's I get it, but it's also like I feel like it was a little unnecessary.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to really drive home that, him and Gamora are not a thing at all anymore. I think it's supposed to be that he does miss the relationship they had going into Infinity War.
Yeah.
And it's fine. That point came across. And then the second act of the movie really is when they're on the meat planet, which is disgusting.
How many people bring up Among Us?
So, fun fact, that is not an Among Us reference.
Oh, I'm aware of what it is,
Yeah, it's a
but how many
2000
people?
Oh, yeah, people are like, Among Us. I'm like, shut your mouth.
Yeah, Space Odyssey, you
Yeah.
swine.
There's something, Among Us is based off of those spacesuits in 2001.
Okay, so speaking of them like going to the meat planet, it's so good. Mantis just
Yeah.
it's so good.
Yeah, Mantis' character is an interesting one because she did only show up in the Guardians 2, but was in Infinity War and Endgame. So I guess 4 movies technically, but it's just like I've never understood her character for the most part of just like this weird, goofy, yet serious. I don't know, the punching bag of all the jokes type thing. So
Yeah.
it's funny. Her like literally dying every 2 minutes in this movie is pretty much just hilarious.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they like
But
get
she
dropped
snaps
into
her
the
neck.
yeah, they get dropped into the pit, and you literally hear her neck snap. She just stands up. You're like, bro.
Oh.
Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, so the Ravagers team up with the Guardians to get onto the meat planet. That's how Gamora comes into the picture. They need
Rocky Balboa's there.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
Rocky Balboa's there again. A weird pick. I'm not mad. I love Sylvester Stallone.
Oh,
But,
yeah, I love
and then we get into the meat planet, and then Nathan Fillion shows up.
I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. There's also another cameo in there. Is the girl, the security woman, what has like the little hat on or whatever, is James Gunn's wife. Yeah, she's also
Didn't know
in
that.
Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, which he did for DC. But yeah, and then to get on the meat planet, shenanigans ensue. I didn't mind it. I mean, it's gross. It's a meat planet, but
It was fine. Thankfully, it didn't trigger my tryptophobia because
Yeah.
it would have sucked to throw popcorn. But the fight scene was interesting. I enjoyed it. That was the start of like because like I didn't know if like people were gonna die, and so like they did a really good like edge of my seat. Like, oh fuck, are people about to die? And it was good. I will say the whole Gamora banter, her being just like a ruthless like
No.
mercenary now, is I really enjoy it.
Yeah, because this is the Gamora from before Peter Quill and before they meet. So she is ruthless still. She is a mercenary. She hasn't had that character growth throughout the 2 movies to become the Gamora we know. So yeah, I loved Gamora's character in this movie. I like that she like her hair is much more like unkempt and gross.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There were like little nods that I really enjoyed. And then yeah, meat planet stuff happens. Then they know where they gotta go, and then it's like, oh, it's a trap. And then they get onto the weird human furry planet.
Wait, which? Hold on. Oh.
Yeah, they land in the neighborhood, and then the people, like the weird humanoid animal people. And
Yeah.
throughout the movie,
Sim's
you were getting
character.
like flashbacks to Rocket's story, like backstory, and you get
Yeah.
you meet his friends, which I don't remember. I guess Teeth, Lila, and Floor.
Dude, I love those characters. So your boy?
Yeah.
Okay, so they die,
Yes.
right? it's pretty like known that they
Yeah,
did.
they were gonna
You know.
like as soon as you meet them, they're like, okay, these people aren't making it out of here.
Yeah, but just the way that they died, dude. I was like, I don't cry at movies. Like we have a constant debate that I cried during Endgame, and I don't think I
You
did.
did.
I don't think I did.
You were because you were trashed.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I cried, and I was like, I looked over to you to see if you were crying, and I remember you crying.
wrong Asian dude. Anyways, so I cried.
Yeah.
I was like, man, but I was also crying, but I was also like, yo, someone needs to Leroy Jenkins this dude right now, and then Rocket, you just see him go like, bro, this boy about to turn into a Super Saiyan, and he fucking
Yeah,
does.
they give it. So typically Disney and Marvel try to, even though movies are PG-13, they try to keep it PG-13 rating. And this movie definitely was on like the more adult PG-13 side of the movies.
Get in the fucking car.
So you had Rocket tear up the High Evolutionary's face.
But like a lot.
Like that camera
Like
holds on it, yeah. And then so they get to the planet. They need to get to the High Evolutionary space. And so
Wait, how did they though?
well, that's what I was. Yeah, is they get into a car and Nebula doesn't know how to open the door. Peter's like, "Get in the fucking car!" And they don't cut away. Like it is the first F-bomb in the MCU, and people are upset about it for whatever reason. I don't know why. Because typically they do cut away right before they say "fuck."
Even in Blade, like you don't hear him say it, you just see his mouth move with it.
Yeah, and that was in the 2000s, late 90s, 2000s, before the MCU
Oh no,
was really a thing.
Yeah, so that doesn't, I guess, necessarily count because I forgot he does say he gets shot by some cops in a hospital, and then his quote is one of my favorite quotes by Blade: "Motherfucker, have you lost your goddamn mind?" Oh no, damn mind. Sorry,
But
I haven't seen it in a week.
But yeah, we get the first F-bomb, and then this is where I really enjoy the movie. I think this is when the it just comes together so perfectly. Is after this point.
Yeah, because then you see defensive nose Groot.
Yeah,
just go absolutely haywire.
Yeah, so it's so good. So yeah, they like get there. They know it's a trap. It's a standoff. And then they get the code to get the bomb off of Rocket's heart. Rocket has the weird Dumbledore train sequence thing from Deathly Hallows Part 2 happen to him.
Bro, okay. I gotta tell you about it though. He flatlines and dude, like Peter Quill's scream again.
Yeah,
I started crying, dude. I was like, bro, this is too, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to watch this movie anymore.
Yeah,
it was so rough.
I was pretty actively crying when we saw it. And then I was just like, bro. Yeah, that was pretty rough for me. And then yeah, so you have the weird. So it's like a white. He's dying, and his friends show back up, and they're like, "You're not done yet."
Which is like typical. Like I knew it was gonna happen. It didn't mean that I wasn't gonna cry about it.
Yeah, no, it was a really
he technically
good moment.
died.
Yeah, he did.
Flatlined.
And then he comes back, and then it's just probably one of the coolest, like I would say, probably action, like decent action, long action sequences. The hallway fight scene was really cool.
The hallway fight scene, dude, was bonkers, dude. It was so sick.
Yeah.
I loved it so much.
No sleep till
Brooklyn.
Till Brooklyn song.
You sounded like you were about to say Boston. I'm like, no, there's no way home.
Which is also funny because I don't think you've seen Mario, but Chris Pratt voices Mario, and that song also
I told
plays.
you about Mario.
Oh, okay, never mind.
I watched it. I watched it on a date. It was sick.
Oh yeah.
We're doing an episode soon.
I have nothing to say for that movie. It was good. It's a kids movie. Whatever. We're talking about Guardians. So yeah. So Adam Warlock, funny little snippets of Adam Warlock with the Sovereign leader in between. He's a kid. she's like, "Do this thing," and then he does it. Literally does the thing. Like when she's like, um,
Oh
show
yeah,
this man, we mean business or whatever, and then he fucking
melts him.
melts him. And she's like, Why'd you do that?" And he's like, You told me to show what he means business." There's some funny snippets with his character, but they do throw a literal ship at him, and he's like, "Yo, that's crazy."
Damn, dude.
Yeah,
Looks like you ain't got no more car.
yeah. And then the high evolutionary fight between him and Rocket happen. It's fine. Um,
But dude,
and then the
then
mask comes off.
they take that mask off and he's just mutilated. It
Yeah.
was so good. I really, dude, I really wanted like someone else to be like, people need a second chance, blah blah, and then Rocket just like fucking murks him.
Yeah.
Dude, that would have been so
Rocket
good.
from Guardians 1 would have, definitely.
Dude, another scene that I cried on was the baby raccoons.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
When he finds the baby raccoons. So it's, so he finds the baby raccoons. He sees that they are raccoons. And then him and the high evolutionary meet, and he calls them his code name or whatever, and he goes, "My name's Rocket Raccoon." And you're like, "Ah."
Yeah, dude, I was
That's
like,
the first time.
beast.
Yeah, he calls himself a raccoon. And then, so another big point is Drax finds the kids, and then he knows their language or whatever, and he can talk to them. And then that's when I was like, okay, he's gonna like go off with the kids. He's gonna be a dad to all 800 of these kids. So yeah, and then the weird blob thing, that Mantis like freeze, and she's like, "Oh, that's so gross," and then he talks,
Yeah.
and she's like, "You're not gross." That was voiced by Pete Davidson, apparently. So,
Oh, another thing I wanted to highlight, I wanted to bring up because, like, just sharing the waterworks.
Mhm.
Whenever they like leave, what's his bucket with the mask? I can never remember their names.
Mhm.
When Rocket was like, "We have to save them,"
Mhm.
dude, I was still just like, I know, yeah, because I knew what he was talking about. He was talking about the
Yeah.
animals, and I was just like, okay. And then a stampede, and I was like, okay, go, dude.
Yeah.
Okay.
That leads, I guess, into Cosmo. We haven't talked about Cosmo at all. Cosmo is pretty funny. The whole good dog thing throughout the film, I thought was pretty.
That's his name was Cosmo.
The dog's name is Cosmo. Yeah.
I thought that dog was unnecessary, but it was fun.
Yeah, it was like, the issue. Part of the issue with the movie, we'll like wrap up the plot, is so they save everybody. Peter Quill almost dies. Adam Warlock saves him, and then yeah, the weird Da Vinci Man and God.
Dude, everyone in the theater just started busting out laughing, and I remember some people were just like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, it's pretty bad. And then yeah, so everybody gets saved, and then they kind of go their separate ways. That's the ending. The ending is like 20 minutes long because you got to resolve all these plot lines. Rocket
Dude, it's
becomes
so long.
Yeah, Rocket becomes the new leader. Mantis goes off with those weird alien things, figure her stuff out. I do really like the Peter and Gamora when she was like, "I bet we were fun." As like
That gave him I think it gave him some closure too.
gave him some closure, but it's also like they're not riding off into the sunset together, which is what I liked is that they did not get back together. That plot line was left open. Gamora goes back to the Ravengers. I forget what happens to Nebula.
I think Nebula stays in town.
Oh, she becomes the leader of Nowhere. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then
Oh, dude. Continue. Sorry.
yeah, Drax with the stays. He becomes the kids, and then
He's making an army.
yeah. And then Groot gets the line, "I love you
Oh,
guys."
dude, that one was so good.
Which James Gunn
I
did come out and say, which makes me emotional. Is he didn't literally say that? Is because we are now part of the family, we can understand Groot.
Oh,
And so we're like part of the family now. That's why we could understand him finally.
dude, I wish it would. I wish he said that and then got into a car. Nothing breaks family.
Yeah, I know. Which is also funny because Fast X comes out in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it was super good. And then the first post credit scene is Rocket with the new team. Groot's ginormous.
Groot turns into a fucking mech.
Yeah. And then that gets wrapped up, and then that's the first post credit scene, and it plays the stupid song from the first movie. It's in the pre-show at work, and so I hate that song now.
I want to. What was the second?
And then the second
credit
one
scene?
is so Peter goes back to Earth,
Oh yeah,
meets his
I enjoyed that.
grandfather, and then yeah, it's them just talking while eating cereal, and then it's the legendary Star Lord will return. So he's the only one to confirmed to be coming back, I guess. But
I think Rocket will.
I'm
Sure.
assuming Rocket and Groot will at least. But
Yeah, me too.
sorry.
Dude, one thing that I want to bring up that I really enjoyed was when they were like breaking into like the meat planet or whatever. Uh, when Quill thought he was like on a private comm, and then everyone was just like, "We can hear you," and then like they were like, "Yellow goes for black, black goes for
Yeah. And then
It's so
isn't
good.
Drax like that's way too complicated? Why would you do that? Now
No,
there's
no, that was Quill. Drax was like,
uh,
"No, it's this." Yeah,
oh yeah.
that's what made it so good. Is even Drax was like, "Yeah, dude."
It is also
So
funny
good.
because Dave Bautista like is quite a bit heavier in this film than usual. I just was noticing because my funny thing is in Infinity War, Drax is like you've been putting on a little weight to Peter
Oh
Quill,
yeah,
and then in this one it's Drax is he's
the other way around.
you can see he's put on a little weight. I don't know. I noticed that, but for the most part, yeah, it was really good. I didn't notice too many Easter eggs. Floor was terrifying. I hate rabbits with robot limbs, so I thought it was
I
something out of Saw.
dude. So when the otter died, dude,
Mhm.
oh my, I started crying, and then there was like a slow mo, like kind of ominous thing, and I was like, they didn't. And then those two, and I knew, but then those two were dead, and I was just like, I need loaded fries.
I do really like in all the flashbacks though. He would like Rocket would find a piece of metal and just like put it on his body for the payoff when he does make the card. I thought that was so cool. The little just
Yeah.
like they're just walking around talking. And he's like, ooh, boop.
Like us at IKEA.
Yeah.
Wow.
Don't fucking touch that. Yeah, we could never go back
No.
there.
Probably not. I got an order from there because I'm not allowed back. But yeah, I rate this 9.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna rewatch it before I give it official rating. But mine was like 7, 8 out of 10. I think it's as good as you can get for a Guardians film.
I'll stand by mine. I'm gonna rewatch it pretty soon, and yeah, I'm probably gonna make it. I'll do 9 for now, but I think it's 9 teetering 9.5. It's not a 10 out of 10 movie. Nothing's a
No.
10 out of 10 movie except for Forrest Gump.
I don't agree with that, but all right.
I don't either. But yeah,
I would say my 10 out of 10 movie is Independence Day.
okay, we should end this podcast, like the whole thing.
It's actually Les Mis. I'm just kidding. I've never watched that movie and or seen the play, so
Oh no, our attention span is leaving.
yeah,
Now.
I
We need to
know.
wrap up.
But yeah, no, it's a great movie. If you haven't seen it and you've stuck through all the spoilers, go see it. I don't know why you haven't yet. It's again the best Marvel movie since Endgame, and one of the best Marvel movies I think ever, to be honest. It's up there in like the top 10, not top 5 for me, but
It's top 10 for me for sure. It might be top 5, honestly, but I'd have to evaluate, and we can do that on another episode. We don't have that kind of time right now.
what's our top 10 favorite Marvel movies?
Welcome to Watch Mojo. We're about to get demonetized for that. Fuck. We got to cut that out.
We don't have to cut that out. Fair use. We didn't use. Her voice wasn't over it, so it's fine.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like we get fucking monetized.
We're probably about. Let's not talk about behind the scenes. Let's talk about the analytics on our show.
We both had really long weekends, and this was recorded on a Monday, and we haven't really had a full rest day. So,
I don't know for 2 weeks, but yeah,
it's not a competition.
No, I'm not saying it like that. I'm just like I don't want to talk about work.
No, you're good. But yeah, so go see it. Any other snippets or anything you want to talk about?
No, not right now. I mean, I'm going to see it again. I agree. Like everyone should go see it. It's a fantastic film. Yeah, it's just a fantastic film. Like,
Yep.
Oh, it's so good. My only complaint is Adam Warlock.
Yeah. His weird dog that he gets as well.
It's cute. It's not as. I mean, it's the dog being there was better than Adam Warlock's performance.
But yeah, it's a pretty self-contained story. It doesn't lead to anything. Kang isn't in there.
I was half expecting it, but it's an ending story for this team. So it's like
James Gunn's send off to Marvel, and for most of these people, they don't. They've been around for almost a decade shooting these films, so makes sense. Not a lot of them want to come back.
Yeah, I mean, you make enough money, like.
Zoe Saldana is probably the highest. What is it? I saw some TikTok on it earlier. She's been in so many franchises that she herself has grossed so much, like the highest, like grossing revenue actor of like all time. For a movie.
What does she play?
She plays Gamora. But she's in Avatar. She's in Star Trek.
Oh right.
Is just like from like an actor's from an actor being in a movie standpoint. Like all the movies she's been in, she's like grossed the highest revenue for like films.
She's in everything. I'm gonna look into that. Yeah, she's in a lot.
She just was like, I'm gonna do a couple franchises. This will be fun, and then ended up like
She's a main character in a couple franchises.
And Star Trek is probably getting another film. Whatever. We're not talking about that.
We're going off track.
Yeah. Thanks for listening / watching.
Thanks, guys.
If you want to hit us up, leave a YouTube comment or themagiccoffee@gmail.com. We are also on Instagram. You can leave a comment there, and we will get back to you as soon as possible.
If you're watching on YouTube, if you want to subscribe and hit that bell, that'd be much appreciated. Ding.
But yeah, so thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
See you later.